All right. If nobody else wants to start us out with what they researched, I will.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. So, I think Genesis, is it Anna or Anna?
It's Anna. Thanks for
Anna.
asking.
Okay. Yeah, of course. And Genesis, am I saying your name right?
Yes.
Okay, great. Um, what we discussed was that all three of us researched the Children's Internet Protection Act. I call it SEPA. Is it SEPA? SEPA?
I have no idea. I said
No,
SIPA
no,
too.
okay.
We can
Okay.
go with SEPA.
Sounds good. So I got all of my information from ALA.org. It's basically an act passed in 2001, and it's intended to protect minors from accessing dangerous content on the internet. The law dictates that in order for libraries and schools to continue to receive the discounted rate on internet access, which is known as E-rates, they have to have filters installed to protect children from accessing harmful content. Um, and I found some other interesting facts, but did you guys want to jump in with anything else?
I researched on FCC.gov, the Federal Communications Commission, and basically it did say the same thing. You know, in order to get the discounted rates and funding, you have to have the filtering on there, and you know, like things you couldn't have let them hack. You couldn't let them use like give out personal information about themselves. They have to have safe chat rooms and stuff like that.
I actually use both the ALA site and the site you said. But pretty much like y'all said, it was put in place because people were concerned about children under the age of 17 accessing information and not necessarily information, but obscene and harmful content that kids really shouldn't be seeing, such as like child pornography and all that stuff. And like you said, it also puts in place security measures that prevent them from like doing illegal stuff such as like hacking or the exchange of the personal information of minors and stuff like that. Um, let's see. Yeah, pretty much it. Um, but also, academic and college libraries are not subject to the SIPA because they don't receive the E-rates discount.
I didn't know that.
Also, I think that is a good thing because they also children aren't really the target patrons for academic and college libraries, and it also restricts the flow of information if there's those restrictions set in place because it's flawed. Of course, it's going to be flawed. It's done by algorithms. The algorithms may read something or may judge that something's inappropriate, obscene, when maybe it's just an anatomy class or something like that.
Yeah.
I agree with Genesis, and also, sorry if I'm moving into what I looked at. I was doing net neutrality, and I agree with Genesis on the fact that I believe the library should at some point be free because logarithms can be taken advantage of either through financial means or through other means of influence, which I believe everybody should have their own point of view expressed. Um, that's just my opinion, and this is kind of what I saw from net neutrality. I did a basic research, and I saw the Oxford dictionary explanation that says the principles of net internet service providers should enable access to all content and applications regardless of the source and without favoring or blocking particular products or websites. So I just wanted to add a little bit about Genesis, and that's something that I kind of just looked at net neutrality and started to research a little bit about.
Mm-hmm. Also, public libraries can remove those restrictions, the SIPA restrictions, for patrons over 17, but they must go to a librarian so they can remove those restrictions. And children can be on a computer without those restrictions as long as the parent gives permission and is with them at all times while they're on the computer.
Yes.
That way, if anything goes wrong, it's on the parent, not the library, because the library had those restrictions in place. The parent chose to lift them, knowing their children may access information that they shouldn't be able to access.
Yeah. Another interesting thing that I found on the ALA website about SEPA, I don't know, is that, you know, I think it's interesting that they have this law, they have this rule, but yet there isn't a standard. Like, libraries basically have a lot of flexibility in what filter they choose to use.
Yeah, I noticed that.
like,
There's like, it depends on the library how they define these restrictions, how they interpret it, and as long as they do the basics, they're good to go. But different libraries view the basics as different things. Like, you got the general outline what they need to have, but there's no like, hey, this is what you need to have. Like, I think it would be better if it was a set model.
yeah,
in my
like
opinion.
if there was a standard, like you have
Yeah.
to choose a filter or a company that specifically filters out these things and, has an ABCD standard, but there doesn't seem to be. It's kind of framed as a, in good faith, keep your kids safe. We're not going to tell you what those restrictions have to be, but have at it. I don't know. I thought that was interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Going back to,
Go
sorry.
ahead.
Going back to what Caesar was talking about with net neutrality, I didn't like research it for this topic. I know a very, very little bit about it. Is that the issue of like whether or not a broadband connection at a library can prioritize certain websites or resources?
I think what was going on in the past, the little that I've seen. Now, I know I don't have anything concrete to provide to say that this was happening, but I remember about, let's say, 4 or 5 years ago, there was this whole big thing about how broadbands did want to control what we were able to see, and I felt that that fell into the category of um basically the man, I lost my train of thought. The algorithms basically telling us what we want to see, or different people influencing, or logarithms influencing what we see, or the type of point of views. And I think that's what we didn't want to have, or the consensus was that we wanted it to be free enough to where we can make our own decisions. So they didn't allow the broadband companies to be able to do that. Maybe I'm maybe I understood it wrong when all this was happening, but I think they came to the conclusion that the broadbands could not limit or jump in to control that. In other words,
Yeah, which I don't know, like on the surface, I think that's a good thing. No company should be able to decide what a library user should have access to. But then I thought about like, okay, should somebody who is, I don't know, looking up research for, I don't know, an assignment, or even like somebody trying to access the police scanner or something, really important, should that have faster internet access than, say, somebody who's just trying to hang out on social media, or somebody who is just streaming Netflix for kicks and giggles, you know? I don't know. And I think that as librarians, we should say, okay, equal access. But, you know, I think there could be an argument made for there are some things that are a lot more important than others. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I'm just kind of spitballing.
It's okay.
No, like one of the things also is with net neutrality, it prohibits like the internet providers, like you said, from blocking certain content. So let's say there's an internet provider here in Texas that blocks abortion because it's illegal. But people still need information on that. It's still going to happen. They still need information on, let's say, when your body does like a miscarriage, it's technically an abortion also. Or let's say you need a necessarily medical abortion or something like that. You need a research. You need your pros and cons. And net neutrality prevents a provider from blocking that content because people have the right to that information.
Mm-hmm.
This is really interesting. I've never heard of net neutrality before, but like the only thing I can relate it to is like I studied film in my undergrad, and like something we talk about is the camera itself neutral, what you point at, and the machine itself can be created in a way that isn't neutral. It could be racist. So like because they had some cameras that when it was pointed at someone who's Chinese, it would say, hey, you're not, your eyes are closed. And that's really bad. And so it's like, even the camera can be biased. And so it's really interesting to think about the internet being biased, and or even just the broad width of getting to search being biased. And that's not something I've ever thought about before. And that's really
not necessarily the internet being biased, but the algorithms, because while the algorithms are set to be neutral, they are created by people. And people are inherently biased. Whether they do it on purpose or not, they will put their own biases in their algorithms. So that's why there's no way for the internet to be completely neutral, or any site or anything like that to be completely neutral, because it is created by people and people are biased. Whether it's like a in-your-face bias, like or it's just like, I'm not really comfortable with that, but like, I'm not gonna really talk about that. They're biased. There's no way for anything to be completely neutral because of the human aspect.
I totally agree.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. AI is only as intelligent as the information you feed into it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, anybody else have anything to add or say, or?
I just have a funny story.
Do you want me to stop recording this, or you don't care if it's recorded?
I don't care if it's recorded. In high school, we had Chromebooks, and there was those filters were in there, and we would play a game. We would go on Wikipedia and we'd click on links to see who could. So we'd all start on the same page, like orange, something very simple and innocent, and then we would click on links to see how quickly we could get banned. The record was 2.
Oh my god!
Oh,
wow.
So
I mean, that's another thing right there. Because those restrictions are made by people, and all that, we don't really know what exactly is restricted until we try it.
That's true. Yeah, we would always push the boundaries.
Oh my gosh. If I got banned and they called my parents for that, I would get the beating of a lifetime. Like, why are you doing stupid stuff like that? No, actually, my brother, not too long ago, he got banned on his Chromebook because he's 12 and he was listening to this podcast called Morbid. And
Morbid. I love Morbid.
But so he researched decomposing bodies on his laptop, and he got banned, and we had to go to a meeting with the principal. And that was like, trust me, we're not killing anybody. We're not asking him how to dispose of a decomposing body or anything like that. It's just he's curious because he listened to a podcast.
Oh my gosh.
Dang. Wow.
I'm pretty sure I've listened to those episodes. Yeah.
I don't know why he's obsessed with it. I'm like, dude, you're only 12, chill.
I mean, it's true crime. I mean,
Yep. But
they get into it. I mean,
oh yeah.
they
It's
use a
like
lot of
I
language.
listened to it in front of him, and then you're like, oh my god, no way. What? And so he started listening to it.
Oh my gosh. It's
And
pretty
yeah,
hard.
apparently I'm a bad influence, according to my mother.
I enjoy Morbid. It's a good
Oh,
time.
it's a good podcast for sure. That would definitely be banned on school and libraries, public libraries.
For
I mean,
sure.
it's technically not because with these it mostly pertains to images, not so much like text and audio.
Okay. I've never experimented with it. I mean, I don't go to
That's
work
what I
and
read
try to
on. I think
get
it was
banned.
on ALA.
Oh, that is interesting.
Like it will still restrict some like text and all that, but for the most part, it concentrates on the images.
It makes
Mm.
sense. It makes sense.
But yeah.
All right.
Right, anything else anybody wants to add?
Nope, I shared my funny story. I'm good.
I shared mine.
I met a fellow Morbid fan, so hey.
There we go. All right, well, I'll stop recording.